Hello and welcome to the show. Before we begin, apologies because I still have a cold, so as I'm still going to sound nasal. I've upped my meds and hopefully I should be better in a couple of days. But until then, I'll just keep on making the recordings in this condition. The well, on the bright side, the good thing is we can't send viruses over the airwaves. If not, I probably would have infected half of you with my cold and sore throat already. So I guess we should thank God that we don't have an fully immersive experiences over the internet just yet, that we can't mimic those experiences. So, with that out of the way, today I'm not talking about immersive experiences over the internet, at least not now anyway. Although that might be the topic of a future episode, if I can see how we can wrangle a sales perspective out of that and how it applies to everyday business folks like us, like you and me in the event and the wedding space, for instance. So, okay, with that out of the way, it's easy to try to speak to everyone, to approach everyone when you're trying to get your business going. For those of you who've been in business for a while, I'm sure you can remember the early days. You sell handbags over the internet, or you're a wedding photographer. You will talk to anyone and absolutely anyone. And it made sense because in the beginning, you have no idea who your ideal customer might be. So if you sell inverter batteries, it makes sense to talk to your parents, talk to your siblings, talk to your colleagues at work, talk to the people in choir in the church. Let's see what else. Talk to everybody, even random strangers, because you have no idea of who your ideal customer might be. And it's the same way for those of us in the wedding and the event space. It's the same thing. You're starting off as a wedding photographer, you will tell everyone, people at church, people at work, siblings, friends, networking sessions. You're at the bar chilling with people, random people show up. You try and make it try and make a big show about how you're this new up and coming wedding photographer or planner or whatever, trying to talk yourself up. So that makes sense in the beginning. You talk to everyone because you have no idea who your ideal customer is going to be. So, of course, it's something that I struggle with as well because, believe me, we all go through this. And especially in my content journey, I've been at this for a while because I'm from the Facebook generation. I'm not the Instagram generation. I think we were coming out of uni by the time Facebook was a thing. So that's my own generation. And so I've always been putting out content, not always exclusively business or sales related, but trying to do all sorts of things. And so in the beginning, I tried to talk to everyone, not just in my business as a sales consultant or as a wedding photographer, but also putting out content online. So it took a while, but eventually I was able to see that when you're trying to appeal to everyone, you're not going to get anywhere because trying to appeal to everyone is appealing to no one in particular. In fact, it's something that I'm sure you've noticed when things go viral over the internet. Is because they are laser focused on one particular thing, one particular idea, one particular audience. You never find anything generic getting viral in general or getting viral with any particular community. And the same thing also happens in our one-to-one sales conversations. If you're trying to have a conversation with everyone, you're not going to get anywhere because trying to have conversations with mommy and daddy today, grandma tomorrow, and then the youth with the choir next tomorrow, and then maybe with the youth circle there, you are constantly trying to come up with a new message. You're trying to revamp your sales scripts. You're trying to recycle your processes, things like that. So you're never going to be able to figure out what works, how it works, and where to keep on going in. But the person, on the other hand, who has figured out, let's say you sell bags over on the internet, has figured out that the people that she does the most business with are ladies between 18 and 25 who buy these handbags, but who probably don't buy it. Okay, no, let me scratch that. So let's say 18 to 25. Let's go further. I'm trying to avoid some ethical issues here, if you catch the drift. So let's say she has figured out that the person her best customer is someone between 25 and 35 and who works in the bank, for instance. And because these people have stable salaries and then they can buy items on layaway and then pay back later, using some sort of credit facilities. Now, if you sell handbags and you figured out that's your ideal client base, then you're going to refine the way that you look for these people, how you talk to them, the conversations that you have, how you get them to close, how you build a relationship, get them to come back and make repeat purchases. This is something that you're going to be able to do over and over and over and over again. It's the same people, the same script, the same messaging, the same framework. You're going to be able to take feedback, reiterate, and then get more efficient over time. So whether we're looking at things from an online perspective or as one-to-one conversations, we're always going to make the most traction when we know for sure who it is that we're talking to and who our ideal audience is. But of course, if you're in the early part of your journey, don't worry about it. Right now, you don't know who your ideal audience is. So right now, talk to everybody. So if you're that brand new videographer getting ready to get into the game, or the brand new wedding planner, then please talk about everybody. Tell your pastor, tell your imam, tell your parents, so that your parents can tell their friends who have children getting married. Tell your classmates, tell your colleagues, tell absolutely everyone. Now you don't know. Eventually, you have enough data after you've done the business for maybe a year or two or whatever, or you've done maybe 20 or 30 weddings. You'll be able to figure out that, I'm good with southern brides and southern families. This whole northern thing, I don't really feel northerners. I don't know how to work within those circles. Let me fashi. Or it might be the other way around. You'll be like, oh, I love this northern crowd. I can't stand southern weddings. The wahala is too much. Blah blah blah. Or the profit margins are too low. So let me focus on communicating to northern brides and northern families exclusively. So you're only going to be able to narrow down your communications and your focus after you've gained some traction and after you've been in this for a bit. But in the beginning you have to talk to everyone, but just know that you have to narrow down eventually, because if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one in particular. And so, of course, like I said, it was the same thing with me. That's been my own personal experience as well. So as I kept on putting stuff out on the internet, like I said, I'm the Facebook generation. So from Facebook, there was Flickr, what else? I can't remember all the old stuff, from like 20 years ago. So Facebook, Flickr, all those things. Eventually, I got comfortable talking about only business-related matters, and then after a while, narrowed down particularly to sales and only sales. And now I'm in a very comfortable spot. And now I've started making progress. Because I now have a small cohort who is interested in listening to what it is that I have to say, and they come here for sales talk, and they come here for nothing else. So there's nobody who listens to this podcast who comes here because they're looking for my perspectives on politics or religion, even though I talk about some of these things from time to time. Because, I'm human, so it's going to bleed through. Or people don't come here for the latest gossip or what's going on in the entertainment space. Anybody who sees this podcast and subscribes, they're here for the sales talk, and that's the reason why they come back and they listen over and over again. And that's also the feedback that I get from those of you who listen to the show over here and who reach out to me over on the gram or WhatsApp, or you find me on Facebook and you send those messages, and that's the feedback that I get. I hear things like, oh, well, actually, I'm a software developer and blah blah blah, but I love the podcast, even though it's called Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry. It applies to my business as well, because of this and this and this, and this is how I use the information. And that's the feedback that I get all the time. Now that I am narrowed in and laser focused on what my message is and who I'm talking to, or rather, since I'm narrowly focused now on what my message is, even though clearly I haven't narrowed down who it is that I'm supposed to be talking to. Because there's this interesting thing where I started off this podcast wanting to talk to people in the wedding and the event space, because I figure that in the wedding industry, our people are really good at getting all the technical training. So the wedding planners have watched all the videos, they've attended all the courses, they've gotten all the certifications. The wedding photographers have watched all the YouTube videos, they have got all the editing software, they've got all the greatest cameras, they have traveled to Lagos or wherever to get schooled by the latest and the greats in the industry, or what else? Traveled abroad to go and get certified in some fancy photography school or whatever it is. I mean, we all get really schooled on the technical side, but then people don't get um, any any training when it comes to the sales and marketing related aspects. I mean, people don't even pay attention to those sorts of things. So yes, initially that was my focus. I figured, let me talk to my constituency because this kind of information is lacking. But I found that even though those are the people I'm trying to talk to, and that is these are the people that the podcast is titled after, I seem to be getting feedback and listenership from all sorts of people. So oh, believe me, I'm not saying I don't want you guys along for the ride. I'm really happy about that, and I'm hoping that over time I'll get enough data to figure out exactly who is the audience that consumes this podcast, and I'll be able to narrow down the focus, the targeting, and the messaging even more to be directly relevant to what it is that you guys are looking for when you come over here on the show. Well, for now, just know that it's a large family. Photographers are here, wedding planners are here, architects are here, inverter battery salespeople are here. I know of one masseuse. Let's see what else, and that's the reason why I use the examples that I use, because it comes from folks that I run into. And when I run into you, you guys in real life, or you hit me up over on social media, that's why I get all these examples for the all these scenarios that I come up with online over here. So yeah, anyway, so in summary, yeah, when I started getting comfortable on what my message was, sales and exclusively sales, then I started seeing progress. And it's also freeing because I'm under no pressure to create any other kind of content, and I'm free from trying to be polished or popular. Because to talk about sales, I don't have to be a fanboy, I don't have to be polished, I don't have to be popular. I just have to keep the message relevant. And so it's the same for businesses in general, and not just for content. When you know who it is that you're talking to, the pressure you get yourself under, you take away a whole lot of pressure. When you figure out who your crowd is and how you relate to them and stuff like that, it takes off a lot of pressure. So for wedding planners, for instance, who like to be funky and youthful and spunky and stuff like that, they're in their own zone. They know these are the kind of brides, these are the kind of families that I'm talking to, and so they're not under any pressure to be stuffy or corporate or excessively polished or whatever. So not only do you gain traction quicker, and not only is it more satisfying, there's also less pressure when you can figure out what is it that I'm trying to say and who in particular am I trying to talk to. So if you try resonating with everyone, you're going to resonate with no one in particular. So in the beginning, take a guess in the dark because you don't know who your target audience is going to be, and then go after them. In the beginning, you're just going to be guessing. Yes, you'll be talking to the whole world, but eventually remember that you're not trying to appeal to the whole world. Don't worry if you get it wrong. Take feedback from failed attempts and then try again. So if you start talking to church folks, but you kind of find out that you and church folks don't really vibe well because, you like to be authentic and spontaneous, and maybe you don't like using curse words, and so, you like using curse words, and so the church crowd is not your crowd. That's some feedback that you've gotten, that you don't work well with church folks. So you start trying to market and talk to and promote business from other kinds of crowds, and that's the beauty of the sales discipline. It's very freeing. You just in the beginning you're guessing, but you take the feedback and then you try again, and that's the real beauty of the discipline of sales. Because when you're trying to improve your sales, nothing you do really is a failure, so long as you can take market feedback and carry it over to your next set of campaigns. So if you are an MC, you're trying to break into the market, and let's say in the beginning you're trying to see if you can do MC work for government parastatals, and you're talking to Ministry of Finance, and you try to enter Ministry of Finance, you try to enter Ministry of Education, stuff like that, see how you can be the MC or facilitate some programs, and that doesn't work. Take market feedback and then move again. You might find that corporate is more your thing, or you might find that the wedding market that you're trying to avoid all along is actually your home base and your strong suit, because there are some MCs, real masters of ceremony, who think the wedding thing is below them, because they think that being an MC for a wedding is like being a It's like being a jester. You're out there trying to be a jester and be a comedian and stuff like that. So you don't get to display mastery of your craft and rhetoric and then things like that. So just keep doing what you do. Take the market feedback, and there's nothing that you're going to do that's really going to be a failure when it comes to improving your sales. So with each outing, with each salvo, you're going to get closer to the bullseye, and you're going to be able to figure out who is it that is my core audience, who is it that I should be talking to, what exactly is my message, who is my ideal customer, and all those questions are going to be the beginning of us starting on the journey to greater profits and greater fulfillments, which is what this podcast is all about anyway. So, thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I'll catch you guys on the next recording.